Going to be a little bit more thick, a little bit fatter when it comes down to it. So the dimensions of these are not 100% the exact same. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jimmy, and in today's video we will be unboxing and getting our first look and all of the comparisons of the Galaxy Buds 3 FE. I'll do most of the comparisons versus the Galaxy Buds 3 Pros, since that's the one that I have, but we will still compare all three models between the Galaxy Buds 3 FE, the Galaxy Buds 3, and then the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro to figure out which model is best for you, because there is 3 different price points. Now when it comes down to the brand new Galaxy Buds 3 FE, currently right now there is a $30 trade-in credit with headphones in any condition. So if you have any headphones, no matter the condition, you don't want them anymore, and you want to save 30 bucks on the Galaxy Buds 3 FE, you might as well click the link below the video inside the description and the pinned comment. It takes you directly over to Samsung, so then this way you'll be able to save $30 on a headset that is $149.99. And then the Galaxy Buds 3 Pros sell for $249.99, which this right here is $100 cheaper than the Galaxy Buds 3 Pros. So let's get this one unboxed. So when it comes down to the Galaxy Buds 3 FEs, they come in 2 colors, which is gray and black. The one that I have here is gray. When it comes down to the Galaxy Buds 3 Pros, those ones sell in silver and white. So I don't have the white one, but I do have the gray one right here. Now, on the inside, what you're greeted with is how you're able to find the perfect fit for the Galaxy Buds 3 FE. Then you got the Galaxy Buds 3 FE specifically just right here. So here is the case. Here are the buds. One of the things that you will notice with these ones here is that versus the Pro, these ones have that light up stem. Now, also inside this right here, this is just an empty shell. Then you also have this portion right here, and on the inside of here, this is where you will find a quick start guide, and then you also have other sizes for your tips. Now immediately once you open this up, it's going to pair or at least find and be discovered on your Samsung phone. So I'm going to go through and hit on connect. Now as this one is connecting, when it comes down to the sound quality, these ones have a one-way 11mm dynamic driver. So when it comes down to the Pros, these ones have a two-way 10.5mm dynamic driver. So there's going to be probably a little bit more sound when it comes down over into the Pros. So let's get a closer look at these ones. Let's do a comparison from the FE and then also the Pro. One thing that I am a little curious about is if I'm able to exchange out and flip-flop some of these into the other cases. These ones seem to be a little bit thinner towards the bottom. They slipped in there very easy. These ones seem to be a little bit more thick. So when it comes down over into the FEs, this area right here, the stem that you hold on to, is going to be a little bit more thick, a little bit fatter when it comes down to it. So the dimensions of these are not 100% the exact same. So even though the Pros do go into the FE, so when it comes down to these, I feel like the Galaxy Buds 3 Pros do fit in the FEs, because I'm noticing that my music has stopped. It's not playing any music. When I open this up, I can see that it's doing some charging, and then music is going to start playing again. So it's actually, look at that, Buds 3 Pros are connected. Now they're charging. I was able to hear the music come out of them. So when it comes down to the Galaxy Buds 3 Pros, they fit in the FE case, but the FEs do not fit into the Pros. When it comes down to Samsung One UI 8 and your Galaxy Buds, you don't go through the wearable application anymore. You just go inside of your quick settings. You can see the icon of the bud. So this is where you can change the volume of your buds. But if you're to do a press and hold on it, this is where you have some of your quick settings. So for the Buds FE, you have ambient sound, and then you also have active noise canceling. And that just means if my buds are actually in my ears, then I would be able to turn those ones on. You also have 360 audio. So when you're listening to something and you turn your head, then you're going to listen as if there was, tambourines on the left. If you look left, it's going to cover both. If you look straight, it's only going to be on your left. So you are able to listen to 360 audio, but you cannot do 360 recording when it comes down to the FEs. Then you also have your equalizer. You can go into your dynamic, which this one is my favorite. You do have the boost dialog and the loudness normalization. When you go inside of settings, then this right here is just all that you have when it comes down to the sound quality and the effects. Getting a look at the settings that you would get with the Galaxy Buds 3 Pros, again, if you press and hold on this icon, this is where you'll be able to see adaptive. Now, the FEs does not have the adaptive EQ or anything adaptive. They do have active noise canceling and also ambient sound. If I head right over here and I head inside of settings, this is where you can see just a little bit more settings when it comes down over into these buds here. Advanced quality options. You also have the Ultra HQ, the super wideband speech. So there are a few more features that comes to the Pros that the FE does not have. Again, if you're just looking for some basic good listening, but you don't need to have all of the bells and the whistles and all of the lights, then the FE is probably going to be for you. My initial thoughts when it comes down to the Galaxy Buds 3 Pros versus the FEs is that I could tell that when I lifted up the case, and also especially when I put the buds in my ears, these over here are lighter, just all around in general. These ones over here are slightly heavier, so I grabbed out the scale. This one is 57.4 grams for the Pros, and then for the FEs, this one is 52.3. So I can actually tell the difference. Now, the moment that I was able to tell the difference between the weights was when I grabbed this. And then also when I placed these ones in my ear, they had a very comfortable fit. These ones you can tell are just a little bit more slimmer when it comes down to the feel, you know, putting it into your ear and grabbing a hold of that stem. So I feel like these stems over here on the FEs might be a little bit easier to manage when it comes down to actually using with the play, pause, you know, next and previous and volume up and volume down. And then my initial listening experience, it was only about like 30 seconds on both buds, but for some reason, I don't know why, the FE just sounded better when it comes down to the bass. So this one may have all around everything, the highs, mids, lows, everything. But when it comes down to the FEs, at least for the song I was listening to, which I'll have to still do a full review and I'll come back in just a few days, but it sounds like the FEs has just as much sound and especially more punch than the Galaxy Buds 3 Pros somehow. Let's get a quick look over at some of the features right here. So you can see here that the Galaxy Buds 3 FEs are $149.99. But again, if you trade in any headphone, you'll be able to save $30. You get the colors of gray and black. The one that we have here is gray, not the color of black. Now, the differences between these two here. So let's say that let's just pretend that this one is the Galaxy Buds 3. The price difference is $30. And what you're getting is, even though you're getting almost the same sound, you're just getting more features for that additional $30. So that is the regular Galaxy Buds 3. So they both will have that one-way speaker of that 11mm dynamic driver. It's the Pros that have the dual amp. So that's a two-way 10.5mm drivers. This one over here and the Buds 3 Pros has the 24-bit 96 kilohertz when it comes down to the sound. For the FE, this one is the 24-bit hi-fi. Now, scrolling down, they all have custom EQs. They all have active noise cancellation. This one does have ambient sound. All three of them can do the 360 audio, but it's only the Buds 3 and the Buds 3 Pros that can do the audio, the 360 audio recording, and also Auracast. Now, the Pros are the only ones with the adaptive noise control, which you saw when I was showing off some of the features and settings for the Buds. When it comes down to the adaptive EQ and adaptive active noise cancellation, when it comes down to the Buds 3 and the Buds 3 Pros, those have it, but this one does not. These two do not have the hearing aid feature, but the Pros do. They all have the auto switch. They all have the Samsung Things Find. Looking further, these ones do actually have the swipe and also the pinch control, just like all the other ones, but there is no voice command or the auto pause or the blade lights. These ones over here have those blade lights that you're able to hopefully find them if they're a little lost and it's a little dark, or you can just have them kind of pulsate as you are listening to music. So that is the Pros. With the regular Buds 3, they do not have the blade lights. So you can see right here, the FEs and the Buds 3 do not have blade lights, but the Pros do. The FE does not have mindfulness, but the other two do. And then they all have the pairing button. They all have quick charging. And then for the dustproof and water resistance, both of these ones, they are that dust resistant of the highest rating of 5. But when it comes down to the FE for water, this is mostly for sweat. This one is IP54. IP57, you can run in the rain with these and you are perfectly fine. And then there's still some additional specs if you like to just read a little bit more about it. If you want to go more in depth, you'd be able to take a look at these ones here. So really what you're taking a look at is the differences between the $150 price point, the $179.99 price point, and then right here, these Pros, these are $249. So the difference between these two here that we literally have is $100. But this one will have just a few more features and a two-way dynamic millimeter driver, when this one only has one-way 11mm dynamic driver. and you're still going to have all of your touch controls and all of your presses. So, you know, the play pause is one press, the double press is the next song, 3 presses is the previous song. So you will have all of those. And then the last question that you may have is, what is the $70 difference between the Galaxy Buds 3 and the Buds 3 Pros? And really what it is that the Pros will have 2-way dynamic drivers rather than 1-way. They also have that dual amp. You're also going to have that 360-degree recording and also the hearing aid feature. And then you will also have the blade lights. So these have lights on the blades, and then those other features that we mentioned, and then also that 2-way dynamic driver. So there's just a little bit more that you get when it comes down to the Pros. And then for the battery life of the Pros versus the FE, when it comes down to the active noise cancellation on, for the FE, your talk time is 4 hours or 18 with the case, and then music is 6 hours or 24 hours with the case. For the Buds 3 Pros, when it comes down to the active noise cancellation on for talk, it's 4.5 and then 20 hour with the case, or with music, it is 6 hour and then 26 hour with the case. So you can see that there's a little bit more battery life, especially with the active noise cancellation on when it comes down to the Pros. And then for the active noise cancellation off for talk and then music, it's 4 hours and then 18 hours with the case. And then for music, it's 8.5 hour and then 30 hour with the case. And then for the active noise cancellation off on the Pros, this one is talk for 5 hours and 22 hours. And then for music, it's 7 hours and then 30 hours. So my all-around initial thoughts on these ones, again, this is just right now. This is just me unboxing and playing with them just for a few minutes. I will do a full dedicated review of the call quality and listening quality and how they feel and how comfortable they are versus, you know, the FEs versus these Pros to see, you know, is there really a big difference between $100? And I can tell you right now, for my first listening, these ones actually almost sounded better just because of the bass that was coming through with this one 11mm dynamic driver versus these two 10.5mm dynamic drivers. So make sure you guys stay tuned because I will be playing with the Galaxy Buds 3 FE for the next few days, and I'll come back with a real review of how they actually sound, how they are when you're in the gym, how it is when you're, you know, working out or running or doing phone calls or whatever, because these ones are looking very tempting at that $150 price point if $250 is a little bit too high. But hopefully you guys have appreciated this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe on the very bottom left-hand side. And if you like this video, then more than likely you'll also like this video. And I'll see you guys later.